once they get their mics on, we'll go ahead and get started. It is 30 minutes of availability. We will give a 5-minute and a 2-minute warning.
Uh-oh. Get a timeout at the 2-minute warning?
We're taking 2 timeouts.
All right.
Actually, you did a great job.
Thank you. Does mask protocol say that we interview with mask up?
You can take it off if you want.
Only while drinking.
Okay. Kevin, how was this month of prep for the offense?
I think really good. I think Coach did a really nice job coming off the last game with school wrapping up and having some practices that kind of kept us going without overdoing it. Coach Mick had a couple of lifts during the week while we were recruiting for a couple of those weeks. Got a little bit of young guy work, did enough to kind of keep the old guys engaged without overdoing it, burning them out, kind of keeping them sharp. And then really kind of had a game week preparation prior to being here. And we showed up on a Monday of really a Saturday game week, so kind of the normal flow, which you try to be. Really gets awkward when the game is on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So today we're on Wednesday. We've kind of already done Tuesday, Wednesday. So we've been pretty healthy as far as guys, being there every day. And I think the format of what Coach Day and Coach Mick want to do have kept our guys engaged. They've been typically we have a chance to play well and we practice well. And we have practiced very, very well. So we'll see if we finish the week up and finish strongly here today and tomorrow as we wrap up the prep.
In terms of personnel, you take Nick out of the mix there at the on left tackle. I assume Thayer will kick out. Was that a surprise for you guys, or had you been planning to make a move for that?
Well, I mean, we'd always, in the world of transfer portal and all that, everybody's made a big deal about the tackles playing. Well, first of all, trying to keep the guys engaged and make sure they're all playing and happy, and it's also really good players. So the thought all along was with Nick, and when Thayer made the move to go to guard, he would still be the guy on the left side, and Paris would be the guy on the right side. You're in a right-handed stance. Your communication's the same. The guys you're kind of working with are the same. So the thought process was that was the guards that were the backup tackles, and then we really like what Donovan Jackson and what Matt Jones can do for us at guard, and they're equally just as good, and in some ways maybe better body types at guard. Those with Josh Fryer and with Luke have been our best 7, best 8 guys combo. So the deal would be naturally, Thayer would be the first crack out there. If we had to do it, then Paris would be the next one that would go to the left side.
Was there any thought at all about just for this game, like letting Paris get a start in the next year out there?
I brought that up, but at the same time, the stress of the game and going from right-handed stance to left-hand stance, and he played very, very well. Recently, he's been practicing great. And I think in the offseason, I guess you kind of look between he and DeJuan and figure out who needs to be at left, who needs to be at right. And there'll be some conversations that can happen as you get into February into spring ball and moving forward and have some continuity. I think those other guys are ready to step up. And, it's the time of year, though, now a little bit more with some of the early out deals. But, we've recruited very well throughout the years. Sometimes it takes a year or two to get your niche. A couple years ago, we were out here, and there's an injury, and all of a sudden Wyatt Davis had to start. And that was the kickoff to him having a great season, 2 great years in an early out pro. And that's the opportunities that these guys have. So it gives an opportunity now to get Matt on the field a lot more and hopefully get Donovan out there as well.
Coach Cade Stover moving to defense again, it looks like. Can you talk about what went into that decision?
I asked the defensive guy. I think we just thought they were a little bit shy of some body types with a couple of the injuries. And we thought with Jeremy and Mitch, Joe Royer's really come on very, very well. He'll be the third. Matter of fact, he's technically the second tight end in this game, with Mitch being the fullback kind of tight end. And then we got G. Scott. So we thought we had enough guys to manage a 1-week deal. And then we'll see how this goes. And then with the recruiting, we can decide then what goes for. My opinion, first of all, I've had a lot of fun with it because I love him. And so I do everything I can to give him as much grief as I can because when I love you, I like to grief you a little bit. And I got a lot of respect for him. And he's brought a lot of energy. When you say how's practice been, he's brought a lot of energy to the defense. I think playing offense has helped him understand maybe some offensive looks at what's going on, so his anticipation looks better, and he's practiced well. It'd be interesting to see how the defensive guys want to use him, but it's been fun going against him, and we personally kind of look each other up and have a little fun with each other as we practice. It's been really good.
So for this week, he's just playing linebacker?
Yes. We could use him in goal line, short yardage situations, but I think again with Joe, G, and the other guys we have, typically we've only went, when we get 2 big goal line sets, sometimes we put in 3 and 4 guys out there. But I think for what we're doing, we can either, we got it ready where he can be out there for goal line, but we also could use the other guys. But the bulk of normal down football, he has played defense the whole time, and we have played offense with Jeremy, with Joe, with G, and with Mitch Rossi, and that's how we'll play the game.
Kevin, what are your impressions of the Utah defense?
Excuse me?
Your impressions of what you've seen from the Utah defense on tape?
I mean, they're always good. It's Kyle. It's what he's done for. It's what he did when he was a coordinator. So, I had the opportunity to play with him in a golf outing out in Arizona years ago at one of the coaches' meetings that we have years and years ago. So I got a lot of respect for him. The team plays with his personality and his toughness. They've recruited well, kids that fit their culture. They've been there so long. He and Coach Ferentz are the 2 elder statesmen of college ball. Now it says a lot in this day and age to be a guy that can withstand and maintain the culture of the team and the vibe of the team, and the kids keep embracing buying him, the community and fan base buying him. They play very aggressive in what they do. They tackle well, don't miss a lot of tackles. Defensively, they're one of the best in the nation. They're, I think someone said they don't have a lot of interceptions, but they lead or one of the tops in the nation in pass breakups. So that means you're still playing good pass. So you can sit there and look at some things. They're 2 inside linebackers, 0 and 1 flat round, 2 guys off the edge, create a lot of havoc. You always got those stout, strong, leverage players inside. They're outstanding, and they're going to be a challenge, a huge challenge.
Kevin, I assume you'd prefer to have Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave playing, but where's the excitement level to see the young receivers in this game?
Well, when you say excitement, I'm sure they're excited, and that'll be one of the things for us to kind of keep them calmed down. They have played, but the aura of the game, your first time to really have the opportunity. And sometimes when you play those skill positions, when you squeeze too tight and try too hard, it doesn't go your way. How to just let the game come to you, play as hard as you can, play well without the ball, and all of a sudden the ball will find you, and you make those cosmetic plays that make it look like you had a great game because of 1 or 2 or 3 catches. So the real deal early, we just get them to settle down, even though they played at the hype of the Rose Bowl. The opponent we're playing, the exposure of TV in a big game. At the same time, I think as coaches, I think they've all been shared the stories of you came here to play in these games, and now it's your time. It's a great opportunity to springboard and jumpstart your next season, as you see what Mecca and Julian and Marvin, those guys will do.
Do you have to build in, say, like the first quarter, they're not going to be as precise as maybe they should be just because of the excitement? Do you have to build that in?
Well, I don't know if you, you don't want to build it in the game, but you got to be ready to adapt to that. We even made the comment, the game 1 against Minnesota. I think we had, of the 11 starters on offense, 8 guys, it was their first time starting in the position they played. Like Garrett was going from slot back to outside. That's kind of a new position. And so I think it was Chris and it was Jeremy Ruckert. I can't remember who the third guy was. It was the first, it was playing in the spot that he had played in. I think it was Jackson because he had played H last year. Everybody else was playing in a new spot. Thayer going to guard, Nick going to tackle, DeJuan in the deal, Paris in the deal, Luke in the deal, CJ's first start. And, Minnesota did a great job of ball control. We didn't have a lot of opportunity, but early in the game we were a little bit off. We finally settled down, made a few plays in the second half, and had a good second half of that game. But we were a little bit off. So you like to think, but you would think there's a chance early in this game. How do you play if you're a little bit off? And at the same time, because Utah's a great offensive team that runs the ball well, can play ball control, they play outstanding defense. If we don't execute and we have limited plays, you're going to get into an ugly game. So we want to minimize what you said. We anticipate it could happen. We have to find a way to minimize that, play through the ugliness, and hopefully get into some rhythm and have a great game.
Do you think Jackson stays in the slot next year?
I hadn't really, hadn't even thought about it.
What are some of the areas that you've seen CJ grow into this season? What are some of the areas of this game that you've seen grow throughout this season?
I think everyone can see the plays that he makes as far as, the ability to decision making and throws. But I think the 2 things to me where he's grown a lot, being a young player, is the way he is prepared in practice, which you guys don't see. The time he puts in for a young player, studying the game, watching tape, and grasping that information and then taking the information that he has to the field has been outstanding. So his ability to become a great preparation player as a young player is off the chart. And the second thing is he's become in his own right, in his own way, a pretty good vocal leader for our team. Early in the year, you're a quarterback, you're supposed to lead, but you haven't played, so you're kind of quiet. As the year went along, not that there's a lot of team meetings or not that he's, grabbing the bull by the horn and just doing everything, but you see him a lot more comfortable speaking up, talking to players, telling them what he sees. There was a play the other day, and he said, hey, now, coach, if so-and-so does this, now he gets that safety is going to concern me a little bit. And I said, hey, he actually ran a little bit wrong, but I agree with your point, and then I shared that with my player. And that was CJ just coming to me and said, oh, coach, now, and a play we called. He goes, now, if he gets a little bit, I got to worry about the safety right there. And so his ability to just get more and more comfortable communicating, talking, and his ability to prepare has been awesome. And those, as a young player, that's why he's had such a great year, and he sets up to have a great career for us.
What do you see off the field? What do you see from him off the field as far as the characteristics?
I think he's very calm, very level-headed. Again, when you say off the field, with all the hype and notoriety, you still see him coming in and spending as much time preparing and studying. So in this day and age where you can get pulled, a lot of people get in your ear, you need to be doing this, you need to be doing that. I think he understands to play well, he needs to prepare well. And I've just seen him stay very, very grounded with all the notoriety. You don't see a guy that's very boastful. You don't see a guy patting himself on the back, very complimentary of his teammates, but again, doing a great job of preparing and working.
Do you watch that closely to see if there is an effect of the limelight? He's gone from the spotlight to the limelight. You're always in the spotlight when you're a Ohio State quarterback, but Heisman finalist, it's a different step altogether. Have you kind of like watched him to see if there's been a change?
I personally know. I'm sure Ryan, Coach Dace is with that, and
yeah.
I think he has a good sense of a lot more things going on behind the scenes and the distractions. We do talk a lot of our players, just the distractions our players have from the things you guys are holding in your hand and all the information that they're reading. I was talking to a player that plays on the defensive side today about, in my opinion, some things I think it'd be good for him to do as he goes through the offseason. He goes, every time I read Twitter, I start to, and I go, well, it's just a negative thought, because you're getting challenged. Why don't you do this, or why did you do that or that? You got parents in their ears, you got the agents, you got the branding, you got the NIL, you got all kinds of things pulling guys. The great players are still the talented, most humble, hardest working, best practice players. And CJ's had a great year because he's talented, but the way he's prepared and as humble as he is has made him a special player. He actually did something the other day and actually challenged my son. And my son said something about it, and I said, well, that's the Heisman guy saying something to you. When I was a freshman, Lawrence Taylor didn't know who I was. And I go, it just shows what kind of teammate that, you have an upper-level teammate saying, hey, man, I need to see you do this. And I said, I would use that as a positive challenge because one of the premier players in the country is asking you to pick your game up. I think that's a heck of a compliment, and I think that shows what kind of leader CJ is.
Kevin, real quick too, has Jackson, have you noticed him step up in that, not necessarily wide receiver room, that's not where you are, but on the field, et cetera. Suddenly now he's the leader of that young group coming back and stuff. Obviously Chris Olabi's here, but he's not playing. What have you noticed, I guess, Rise and Jackson Smith-Njigba is more of a leader kind of guy?
Well, to say he's been different in what we've been now in practice, I think we had 10 or 11 practices. To say he's been significantly different, he, like CJ, has had a great year. He is a great practice player. He practices every day. He shows up every day. He competes in one-on-ones. So just the way he continues just to practice is the best. Leadership is best coupled with performance, and he performs very, very well. He practices very, very well. He commands the ball because he gets open, and to me, he just keeps practicing. So that'd be a question for Coach Hartline, and how is he maybe one-on-one with some guys. I see in my world over there, Jeremy Ruckert, and I see Jeremy grabbing Joe after play and say, hey, man, next time that linebacker does that, lean into him a little bit more, snap out a little bit more. Those are things I see because I'm working with Jeremy. I'm sure Jax is doing that. But right now I just see a guy that's had one of the best years in college football continue to practice as good as anyone on our team. That's a great quality.
One other quickie, has Cade Stover the last month or so proven his worth to this football team from the standpoint of playing defense against Michigan? He's practicing with the defense now and stuff. What would you say, how would you explain Cade Stover to someone?
Well, we'll go through after this game and decide long-term and not necessarily, and I said this to him when we talked to him. I said, I don't want to hear what's best for the team. Because what's best for the team sometimes is a bunch of crap. When you're a player, so that's what's best for you. If you don't want to go over to defense, we'll stay right here. We'll keep playing. You have a good role. You have a great opportunity to go play in this game. You can play special teams. He's been a great special team player for us. I said, life's fine. If you think it's something you want to do. So now, as we finish this game up, we'll get back after our quick break, and we'll get in January. We'll start getting a plan for spring. I do think we're getting to the point, though, we need to get a direction for him so he can have high success. So whether that be he's coming back and going to be a tight end, because with Jeremy, Mitch being seniors, there's going to be a great opportunity at tight end. Right now there's a little bit of void at linebacker, and there's an opportunity there. I will say this, I think he loves playing over there and brings a lot of energy and a lot of fun, and I think he's been good for the defense in this short period of time. Coach will talk about what's best for the team. Personally, I want what's best for Cade. He's one of my favorite guys on the whole team. He's been a pleasure to coach. Selfishly, I'd like to do it. I'm going to do what's best for the team. I just want to make sure it's best for Cade Stover.
If Cade were to move to linebacker, is the tight end room where you want it to be for next year? Or do you guys have to look at the portal?
Oh, that will be some. Now, the issue you'd have, though, is we won't make any hard decisions for Cade until after the spring semester starts. So if there's anything on that rim, it'd be later. And I don't know if that's good with the transition of summertime and to get a guy up to speed. So, we think and look at that a little bit. We got Bennett Christian coming in. Our mathematical numbers are to have 5. So right now we would have Joe, G, Sam Hart, and Bennett coming in. And then we'll see. I mean, we're still going back and forth with Mitch. If he wanted to play another year, he could. I think he's trying to figure that out. What's the grad school opportunities? Is he ready to go on? So potentially, I guess there's a chance that Mitch could be with us. We're not forcing that. We're just seeing if that's something he wants to do. Cade would be the 5th one, or then we'll have to look and see. Like say, is there a good portal opportunity?
How do you feel about G. Scott's development in that position, given that it's a full year now?
Yeah, he's very, very. First of all, he's a different. A tight end. He's not a true tight end, just size-wise yet. And so he's gotten his weight into the mid-220s. He does not lack courage or the ability to want to block or the toughness. He actually is very, very strong. If you go to the weight room, he's strong. He does need the old quote-unquote a little bit more lead in the pencil just when I'm blocking guys to have the mass to anchor down and firm up some things. But that being said, too, he's a guy that then flexes out as a receiving tight end better than those guys. So, sometimes the tight end has his hand down. Sometimes he's kind of playing in the backfield. Like that backfield guy is really good for Mitch Rossi. When Mitch flexes out, and he does that a lot in practice, and he's good at that, but he's more comfortable as a backfield type player. And so G is going to be a little bit more comfortable right now as a tight end that does a lot of complementary tight end things on the fringe and is a little bit more as a big receiver. And in graduating a couple of receivers or those guys going out early, there's an opportunity, a niche there. So his role would be a little bit more of a tight end / H receiver versus Mitch Rossi's a tight end / H fullback. And you still ask them to do some things, but you play to their strengths. And right now that's where he is. To be a complete tight end, though, we got to continue to get a little bit more weight and continue to enhance that. So he's had a good first year. I think he's had a frustrating first year because I think competitively he wants to play a lot more than where he is. And he's playing a position that a lot of times, like O-line, it takes about a good 2 years to get up to speed with all the skills you have to do. Because he's basically playing, I was talking to George Kittle, had him with our group a year ago. When you're a tight end, you play left tackle half the time, you play wide receiver half the time. If you go to the NFL, you make half the money they make too. But you're doing both jobs. And so for G to get good at those jobs, it just takes time because there's not enough time really to practice it. You're kind of practicing as you play. And that's why the ability to stay healthy, like Jeremy, Jeremy's been out there every day. Mitch Rossi's out there every day. The ability of those guys like Joe Royer and G to be out there every day, they'll develop and we'll do well.
What kind of luxury is it to have a guy like Thayer, when Nick makes the decision, he can go back to left tackle and you don't miss a beat?
Yeah, first of all, I would go back. It shows what kind of young man he is. You come back for your senior year to play tackle, which is where all the notoriety is. And now, by the way, hey, we need you to go play guard, would you? So to be the teammate, I think that's why he was recognized as being the guy that wears the block O, because of sacrifice. Because in this day and age, hey, what about me? I know in my career, a lot of guys think they need to play left tackle. I had Lane Johnson at right tackle. I had Trent Williams at right tackle. I had a bunch of right tackles make a lot of money. You want to be really good. I think it says a lot for Thayer, just the teammate, team leader he is, to do that. And now the luxury that he has the skill set to come back and play the tackle for us at a pinch, that's great. But I have a lot of respect for him to be humble enough to At the same time, too, I think his future in the NFL maybe isn't guard, so I don't think he's hurt himself. But it says a lot for him as a young man. When you got a lot of people in your ear about what you need to do, he made one of the biggest sacrifices for our team this year.
And Matt Jones has obviously been in and out, played different roles for you guys. It sounds like he may step in at that guard position. Again, another guy who it sounds like is kind of sacrificed for the team. Is that a fair assessment?
No doubt. I mean, he, to me, he's been a little bit, maybe as a young guy, sometimes immature with maybe the practice habits or the consistency, but his talent and skill set and ability to play, to be a tremendous player is really, really high. And for him to just battle through and keep showing up when I'm year 2 not playing or year 3 not playing. Now he's into year 4. And this will be like last year he started in the Sugar Bowl. I think he started in the Orange Bowl. Now he started, so he's had some quality starts for us. He's played a lot. But we've had enough depth where he's been like, of the 5 linemen, he's been like number 6 and number 7, where he's had to play left guard, had to play right guard, had to practice at center. I think he made honorable mention All Big Ten as a 6th lineman. I think it shows what people see in him when they see him play. I think he's a tremendous player. I think he sets up to play very well in this game against some great competition. I think he sets up well to have a great 5th-year season and move on to be an NFL player. I think he's outstanding.
What do you think, Kevin? How would you describe the intensity of preparation the last 2-3 weeks?
I think it's been really good. We did not have a lot of meetings, a lot of discussions about our last performance. I think we have a lot of coaches. I think we have a lot of players that have a lot of pride, and it just kind of showed up every day and have practiced extremely hard. Been we've done a fair amount of 1s-on-1s and 1s-on-2s. One because I think we've just gotten thin enough that sometimes our scout team or 3s were getting very, very thin. So I think just to have good work, we've done, and quite honestly, some of the things that I think both teams do offensively and defensively, we could get some decent looks, kind of going against each other, not be wasted practice plays. We're not going against like an odd 3-man front team like Tulsa that played a 3-3 deal. So we've had a lot of just very competitive practices. I wouldn't say preseason or spring ball like, but more like that than a game week, and it's been fun.
How excited are the guys who will replace Garrett and Chris?
I
played a little.
Yeah, I mean, they've played and done well, and I'm sure they're very excited. I mean, they Coach Hartline, if he were sitting here, would have told you the last 5 or 6 weeks, Marvin Harrison's probably has practiced as well as any receiver we've had. And he's now, it's one thing doing practice, now take the driving range to the golf course. Now take it to the Rose Bowl. Take it against a quality defensive football team. But he has been off the chart in practice in his detailedness. He's very, very mature. With Chris and Garrett, those guys still got the bulk of the plays, and they were getting their opportunities. But Emeka's shown flashes of being outstanding. Julian's gotten in there. He's healthy and doing well. And Marvin has been a great practice player. So I think with those 3 plus Jackson, you got Jeremy in the mix with Joe and Mitch, and we got Wiggs and some guys we'll throw out there. We'll be very aggressive, and we'll attack these guys the best we can.
Kevin, is there a benefit at all for you guys having Chris Olave out of practice and you just going through stuff?
I mean, that'd be for. I mean, we've he's been there every day getting individual stuff. We did very, very minimal with work. And again, no one really said till we got here what was it, wasn't he playing? So I think I think he likes being around his brothers. I think he likes being around his teammates. I think he likes practicing. And they're making decisions they think's best for his future. I think he's trying to still be a great team leader, a great teammate, and be here. But again, some of Chris's best things in leadership is by example. Instead of he's a verbal guy, but he's not overly outgoing on the verbal page deal. So I think him being out there just doing some light things in practice and making some bulletin points to receivers is one of his best ways of leading, and how he's trying to lead and finish up off his role as one of our team leaders.
I'm sure that you would love to have Chris and Garrett out there, but could it be helpful and beneficial for those receivers and for CJ to play in this kind of setting with those young guys, start to develop that chemistry for next year? How helpful could that be?
Well, to me though, in our sport, you pop the pads, you got to reestablish the chemistry and the timing and all those things. But from a confidence standpoint, you know, in an arena. It's one thing to do it in practice. Like I say, Marvin has practiced as well as any receiver we've had for about 2 months now. It's been ridiculous how well he's practiced. Well, you know, now take that to the game field. Have an opportunity in critical moments to take it to the game field, critical third downs, critical score zone situations, normal down one-on-one plays. And so to have that opportunity this year as opposed to next year probably gives you a little bit more self-assuredness, or maybe also shows you where you're still lacking, because sometimes even in practice, as good as it looks, you can still be a little bit off. So to go through some of those growing pains, even though it's a huge game and a must-win game, it's still going to be a great opportunity for those teams as we springboard into 22 as well.
In your position here, you're a little thin there. I mean, losing Jeremy, Cade, I guess, is back in linebacker for the Bulls. I mean, what are your thoughts on your position here?
Well, I like, first of all, one of the reasons is we do like the way Joe Royer and what G has shown and the potential moving forward. We like the young guys we've signed. I think Joe is setting himself up well to be a quality player. I mean, his skill set, he's getting more mature, more consistent. So we'll see where Cade stays. I think we'll have a discussion here. And again, we're not. Again, just the comments I made earlier. Don't want to do what's best for the team. What's best for Cade? Where's his best opportunity? Not to help our team, but help him, because I know he wants to be an NFL type player. Is that coming back to being a tight end? Because if we have Cade and Joe and G, 3 pretty good ones, and we're actually looking to consider if Mitch Rossi wants an extra year because he can get it. And then you got Sam Hart and Bennett Christian coming in. That's not too bad. That's a pretty good group. If Cade's out, Mitch don't come back, we're a little thin, then we'll have to figure some things out. But that's college ball. It's a revolving door right now. I've seen a quarterback room look like one thing, and then in the next semester, there's completely different bodies there. It was still good bodies.
So. Transfer portal still an option? I assume it is.
Yeah, the only issue in spring is you're getting close on time, semester starting, that it might have to be a late. And then that's where Coach Day's always done a great job of not getting guys just to put on the roster, but, you know, is there a niche, is there a need, and does this guy fit? And if you look at the guys we brought in, whether it be Jonah Jackson or Ruggs this year, and a kick, I mean, the guys we brought in have hit, for the most part, really, really high. So if we do something, it'll be because there's a need and we think there's a guy that's going to come in and pop for us.
Kevin, there were a bunch of head coaching jobs open this offseason. Is that something that you pursued at all?
You know, you guys, I appreciate the Akron deal. Got a bunch of my old teammates and friends. I never had a conversation with anyone, no disrespect to that, but I appreciate whoever threw that out there. It was kind of, at least I had a bunch of former players and colleagues hit me up. Who was it? One of you guys hit me that day about good luck on Akron, and then like 30 minutes later, one of my old coaches hit me up, and I go, "What's up with Akron?" I get, you know, he goes, "Well, it says you're." I go, "So I'm getting old enough that maybe the opportunity's not. I'd love to have that opportunity, but I do love every day working with Ryan at Ohio State, what we do, and the opportunities here. And so, by no means am I at a point where, you know, I'm just dying to do something. I think if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. I have." I'm at one of the best places, one of the best jobs, having as much fun as I've ever had. I love coaching the kids we work with. My family loves it here. It's kind of neat. My son's here. I never thought that when he showed up. It's kind of neat here. He's here. By no means am I content, because we need to play a hell of a lot better than we just played. Okay, so there's a lot of things that we need to do, but I thoroughly love where we're at, what we do, dealing with you guys. It's pretty good. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Kevin.
Happy New Year, men.